Welcome back, everybody. Let's get into the front pages of this morning's newspapers. Tuesday, the 2nd of April. We'll start off with the business day this morning.
And the lead story in today's Business Day, uphill battle as SARS misses target again. Now, it goes on to talk about the SARS target that was set, and of course, coming in short again has the Revenue Authority there. So the 1.287 trillion estimate released on Monday is 57.4 billion rand, or 4.3% less than the initial mark. So that's a concern there at SARS. And also Rand strengthens on Moody's reprieve. Moody's Investor Services, they of course did not pronounce on South Africa's outlook,
yes,
and that has strengthened the Rand. So it was an interesting one on Friday because people were waiting to see what Moody's was going to do, and in the end they did nothing.
Indeed.
He said nothing. And then also Fury at Zuma's BLF endorsement. Now, former President Jacob Zuma's apparent endorsement of Black First, Land First movement just a few weeks before the controversial movement is to contest elections against the ANC has angered some within the governing party. So that's an interesting one as well.
All right, so that's the business day. Now let's look at the front page of the Citizen. So our Citizen leading with SARS must hunt fat cats. The shortfall of 14.6 billion rand, the taxman announced yesterday, shows South Africa is in trouble, and the Revenue Service needs to target the politically connected and tighten the screws on those who receive bribes again. Morning Live on top of these news stories. Yesterday we had Edward Kisvetter in studio with us. He, of course, has taken over that position on the 1st of May, held himself exceptionally well. I think a lot of good feedback coming from him, just talking to the fact that he's not going to get engaged in any public fighting and spats and anything that's been said about him. He's going to put his head down and work at all of this. So from the 1st of May, that's yet to be seen, and we'll hope that SARS regains that dignity. One of the best run companies it was, and one of those companies that used to collect excess funds, can you imagine? And now we're looking at shortfalls. So that's SARS. Now, next one, Cyril's son breaks his silence, and Dile Ramaphosa is reviewing all his business relationships. I also received that over the weekend, saw a video clip of him talking to his business interests and everything around that. So I think a big exercise to sort of get to the bottom of what's going on with the president's son. And then in the business section, incessant price hikes take the toll. Consumers now pay more than the British for food. Holy moly, I didn't know that. So
Holy moly.
Holy moly indeed, yeah. Well, let's talk further about Holy Moly, and that'll be happening in the 7 o'clock hour here on the program. We're going to be joined by Isaiah Mhlanga, who's the Executive Chief Economist at Alexander Forbes, talking to us about all of these increases wherever we look. So that's a big one.
And please talk about our salary increment or the lack
thereof.
Yeah, that too. All right, let's move on to Sowetan and their lead story. Mama's daughters give EFF the signal. So pictures of Zenani and Zinzi Mandela posing with Dali Mpofu wearing an EFF cap have set tongues wagging ahead of the election.
I saw that. Well, he said he was going door-to-door campaigning, and he just happened to be at the Mandela daughters door-to-door.
It was just by chance, you know.
I know, completely just stumbled across it.
Yeah, doing his job, you know, you knock on every door, you canvass every household to get their vote. It's just all in a day's work. And then on top there, that picture, cut dreads or lose your job. Doesn't that seem like a harp back to a time gone by?
Yeah.
Are we still there?
We are.
Oh, wow.
We are.
All right. So that's on page 9. And then Josie Eatery with The View, also Set My Son's Killers Free, and a bit of sporting news as well.
Okay, and then finally the front page of The Star this morning. Cyril's son feels the heat. Yes, we spoke to that already in one of the newspapers. Andile comes clean on failed bid to buy bank, so you can read the details there. Embrace your African neighbours. That's according to our Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Lindiwe Sisulu, talking to the xenophobic attacks that have been happening around the country, particularly in KZN. And one of the big problems, however, is you know, it's not going away, and that is just not an isolated incident. incident that we're seeing. There's just so many of them. But we're asking you, do you feel this is xenophobia, or is this just blatant criminality? And then finally, parents fight to keep kids in school. So that's the front page of the Star this morning. Okay, and that wraps up our newspaper section of the program. Let's get you another weather update. Azri, over to you.